Hi there, this is Jacob Nash, and this is review of Module 27 for AP Psychology, operant conditioning, right? So we talked about classical conditioning in the last one. Now we're talking about operant. So what is that anyways? Well, it's also a form of learning, but it's learning that is either strengthened or weakened depending on the result. If it's good, it's strengthened. If it's bad, it's weakened. So it kind of is based on a consequence. Law of effect. This was made by this guy over here, Thorndike. And it basically just says what I've just said. Good consequences make the behaviors more likely and bad make them less likely. That's kind of obvious. All right, let's talk about a Skinner box now. So this is also called an operant chamber. So it's something to try to enforce operant learning. So I believe that the earliest examples of Skinner, it was made by Skinner, remember? And in some of the earlier boxes, they would put a mouse or a rat in there, and they would have a button or some sort of thing like that, they had to teach the mouse to push in order to stop a shock. So they would turn on something that made there be an electrical shock on the floor. So it was kind of the mouse would be jumping up and down, kind of getting fried each time, like and making it jump up like it's a potato in a frying pan or something. And it had to learn to push the button to make that stop. And because the consequence was good from doing that, that strengthened the behavior, and it would keep doing that. There are some other ones that would have more features like food, like they could do something to get food. But I mean, what if we gave Skinner a taste of his own medicine, puts him in that? He has to learn to push that button. Okay. Oh, I forgot to say reinforcement. That's just something that strengthens a behavior that follows. So the mouse would be reinforced to push that button. Okay, shaping. What is shaping? It's just simply using reinforcers to guide behavior towards a desired response. So each time Jim Carrey dances, you give him a cookie to make him keep dancing. And you keep doing it and more and more and more until it's the way that you want it. You shape it to the way you want it. All right, now discriminative stimulus. What is this? This is a stimulus that causes a response after it's associated with the reinforcement. So the reinforcement is the cookie, but if Jim Carrey starts to associate that this camera is always brought out to take a video of him dancing, and then he'll get a cookie. If he associates that with the cookie, which is the reinforcer, then that makes it a discriminative stimulus, and it will cause him to do that same response. All right, let's talk about negative and positive reinforcement. Now, I'll use this noise again. Turn off. All right, that thing's kind of long. I haven't done that in a long time. It might not seem like it to you though, because I made these videos out of order. I don't know. I don't know when's the last time I used that thing. But remember, that means that there's something important that you got to know. Something that's easy to mix up, and it definitely is. You might think, oh, positive reinforcement makes it happen more, and negative makes it not. That's not what it is. Positive is something that is desirable to make it continue. So a positive reinforcement for Jim Carrey is a cookie. It makes him keep wanting to do it. Negative, though, is something that is done to stop something. And it does also strengthen the response. So a good example could be if you don't buckle, usually a car beeps. Beep, 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 very annoying, very annoying. You are negatively reinforced to do a behavior which is buckling to stop that noise. So it's done to stop it. Same thing if there's a parent that kid's like, can I have this? Oh, can I have it? Can I have it? Can I have it? Can I have it? They keep saying, okay, fine. The can I have it is a negative reinforcer to make them do something to stop it, which is saying okay. Neither of these weaken it. They both strengthen it. So you got to know that. Primary versus conditioned reinforcer. A primary one is just something that's kind of like a natural thing that we're born with. So like food and water, it's a natural reinforcer or primary that would make us want to do something. So if you're like stranded in a desert and you see like a lake or something, then you're going to want to walk to that, right? It's a reinforcer that's just primary. You definitely want to have that. The conditioned one, though, is basically what we've been talking about to this point. It's a made one. So like for the mouse, it's not born to want to push a button, but it can be conditioned to want to. All right, let's talk about schedules with reinforcement. Sorry that this is kind of a boring looking slide, but I didn't know what else to do. So a schedule is just a pattern. We're going to talk about the different kinds in a minute. So you just got to know it's just a pattern of when a reinforcer is. And there's continuous and partial. So continuous is that it's going to happen every time. Every time Jim Carrey dances, he's going to get a cookie. Partial, though, is only sometimes. So, maybe I'll just not give him a cookie this time. Well, this is bad short term. It might cause him to not do it. It might seem like it weakens the behavior. But in long term, it is proven that this is less prone to extinction. So let's talk about the types of schedules. So there's fixed ratio, variable ratio, fixed interval, variable interval. So it's just like kind of all combinations of these 4 words. So let's talk about what fixed is. Fixed means something's going to happen every time. It's predictable. Variable is like, don't know, might not happen. Ratio is a certain amount in this case, and a interval is a certain amount of time. So ratio is a number, interval is a time frame. So a fixed ratio is going to be every so many. So an example is Jim Carrey gets a cookie after 46 dance moves. Okay. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 46 gets a cookie. All right. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 46 cookie. Okay. Now variable ratio, that's question mark so many. We have no clue. It's just a random amount. A cookie after dance moves. So that would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 37. You get a cookie. 159. You get a cookie. Oh, just random every time. That's not so good. Look, this is supposed to be like his reactions. Okay, he likes that. He knows every time it motivates him to want to do it because he knows for sure that after 46 dance moves he'll get a cookie. This one he's like, I don't even know. It's very unpredictable. Now down here, fixed interval, that's every so often. So he gets a cookie after 46 days. Okay, I don't know how to stop that. Okay, never mind. All right. What about variable interval? That's so often. He gets a cookie after some random amount of days. All right. He'll get one in 9 days, in 14 days, in 7 days, in 2 days, all over the place. That's not good either. So, and basically what we know from research is that variable is not as effective. Fixed is the most effective. So how do you get paid if you have a job? Well, hopefully on a fixed thing, I wouldn't want to work for a place that's variable. I don't want someone to tell me, oh, well, we'll just pay you whenever. I want to know when I'm going to get paid. Usually we get paid on a fixed interval. I know I do. I get paid every Thursday. I think it would be a little bit strange if it was a fixed ratio, like, oh, if I do this, like, I'm not going to say where I actually work for security purposes, but let's say I worked at like some pizzeria or something. After you make 50 pizzas and you get $50 or something, like that seems kind of weird to me. Most places are fixed interval. All right, let's talk about punishment types. So again, you don't get confused by this positive, negative. So you probably should have put that sound on this slide too. Positive, you might think, oh, that's a good thing. It's like something that's like that this isn't a reinforcement, this is a punishment. This is a different thing. Punishment is something done to stop behavior. A reinforcement is something to keep doing it, to make it keep doing. So these are supposed to weaken it. Remember, we already talked about that the reinforcements strengthen it. These things are supposed to weaken it. So it's the opposite. So positive punishment is doing something. So we'll look at some examples in a second. And then negative is taking something. That's the two kinds you have to know. So let's look at these 5 pictures and let's figure out if they're negative or positive. Let's start out with this one. Well, hopefully this hasn't happened to anyone you know or yourself, but let's say you did something bad and your parent punched you. Hopefully that wouldn't happen, but that's a positive reinforcement because they're doing something. They're doing something to try to stop it. In this case, it's hitting. All right, what about this one right here? So these officers caught you speeding and they're giving you a ticket. That is also a positive thing because they're doing something, not taking something. I mean, technically they're taking money, but that's, don't overthink these. Like, you can technically stretch it both ways if you want, but they're doing something. They're not taking your car. They did, and that would be negative, but they're making you pay for speeding. All right, this one over here, your parent takes your car keys. That's negative. They're taking something. Your parent takes your phone. That's also negative. What about right here? This guy is taking Paige McConnell's piano and hitting it with an axe. I would consider this to be negative because taking the piano, although you could say if he's just breaking it and leaving it for him, then that's positive. So that example is kind of like a combination of both. The only reason why I included it is to highlight the difference. So if you're from the perspective that he is just doing something to the piano, then that's positive. From the perspective that he's taking it, then that's negative. All right. Let's do some questions here. Create an example of negative reinforcement. Remember, that is something that's meant to strengthen it, but it strengthens something by making it stop. Like, if it makes it stop, that strengthens the behavior. Early was negatively reinforced after running away from someone who stopped. Huh? Oh, sorry, I think I was reading that wrong. Early was negatively reinforced after running away from someone stopped them from annoying him. Yeah, that's not correct grammar. I don't know. I think what it's trying to say is after running away from someone, it stopped someone from annoying him. So that's that is negatively reinforcing because he did something to stop it, and it strengthened the behavior since he figured out that stops it. Create an example of variable ratio. So that means not sure amount or not sure number. Mayu Jr. will be given a cookie after a random number of times she does a jumping jack. Okay, strange example. Create an example of negative punishment. Mayu takes away her daughter's phone as punishment. Remember, that's taking something. Create an example of fixed interval schedule. So fixed intervals, that means a for sure amount of time. Early is paid with his contract for Easy Eye Sound every 2 weeks. And if you wonder why early is commonly used in examples, that's just because that's the first person that came to my mind. I actually met him. He's a somewhat famous up and coming guitarist. You can look him up if you want. He might be more well known by the time you watch this, but anyways, that's if you're wondering why it always says early. That's not his real name. His real name is James Mullis. But anyways, name the technique that reinforces closer and closer approximations of a desired behavior. That is called shaping. What is a positive reinforcer. It's something that is desirable after completing a behavior. So, like giving Jim Carrey a cookie after he dances. When can punishment be effective? I didn't really talk about this, but punishment can be effective when it is swift and sure because it will powerfully restrain it. So it's got to be swift and sure. If you're like, like not really sure, it's not going to do anything. There are studies that show that certain punishments are bad, which, in most cases, for parents at least, positive ones seem to be the worst. Negative ones seem to be a little bit better because, for example, taking car keys, taking electronics, taking something like that, that may cause someone to not do something. But positive, the most common parental thing is hitting a child, which has been proven to cause emotional damage in some cases. And so really that's not that good. What is the law of effect state? Remember, that's the one that's like obvious. It says that behaviors followed by favorable consequences become more likely and vice versa. Well, there you go. Don't know why that picture's on a slide by itself. Okay. Well, on that note, that's the end of this video.